Confidence. People could know what happens to people overseas, when they break the confidence of their leader. Maybe the leader promotes them to nuclear missile captain because they are totally, perfectly, awesomely, and courageously incomprehensible and the perfect attack on their enemies for when their enemies are comfortable. Healthy and socially awesome and freaking fantastic. But their respect for the part of the world being talked about with the incomprehension sucks. The confidence involves knowing who socially to control with power in groups. And a leader leads the people. The reporter asks the question for the people. The people on Capitol Hill are living around the same space as other people. But their bodies, brains, and minds, and their age, and all of the biological, all of the gender involved are not the same as the social explanation, the group explanation. They're way more diverse, they're way more complicated, and much more hard to figure out. And part of the danger involved with those parts being so hard to figure out has to do with coronavirus. Now, the economic problems, the recession they're saying is probably already occurring and happening right now, getting worse and worse and worse, and maybe eventually we're in a depression. And people are flat out sad. And they used to do social programs, Social Security being the most identifiable, to get everyone emotionally better so they go back to work so they can have a healthy life. Medicare. And the risk involved with going in the same direction everyone wants to go makes everybody similar. And wise and really, really smart. But we're not the only part of the world in the United States of America. And history's not frivolous. Eventually you can be a pacifist, but you're going to be forced to make a decision when someone disrupts communication, someone disrupts internet, someone messes with emotions too much. Or someone eventually starts to figure out the pattern and the limits that these hackers and these interfering folks and people are working within. Because when you start making limits, then the freedom gets scrunched and scrunched, consciousness gets reduced, but people's eyes and what they know about the world and emotions and the body, brain, and mind override this information and this data within the limits. Because they see it all. They don't see each part being separate. Friends, social life, world, and then brain, emotions, body, age, mind, gender. And grasp the tension. For people getting into an argument to know what's happening. For people to stop staring and have a conversation. For people to stop talking to each other to convince and to learn instead. When confidence gets shrunk down to hormones, noise, tone of voice, disposition, posture, and face, then emotions, the brain and mind, are doing more work. There's more processes. There's more systems to figure out what kind of lipstick someone's wearing, what kind of eyeglasses they have on, what kind of hair color they have to describe their personality. In the old days, people used to bump into each other and go, "Oh, you're hot." Other person say, "Oh, yeah, whatever. Are you going to take me out now?" And they figure stuff out. Nowadays, people are scared of gender in person and have made stuff neutral, have made the requirements so neutral so there's no emotion involved. And then they get to a person like me and they're like, "See, it does make sense." But then I have to explain that I cherish the emotions. I cherish the friendship. I cherish the communication and conversation. And I love the confidence I have knowing I get those parts of my brain, mind, and body. But those parts of the brain, body, and mind aren't a bridge you engineer. They're not some geoengineering to help the planet cool down and not have so much climate change. They're natural parts of the world, like a tree and a squirrel and a raccoon up in the top. Totally frustrating, totally freaking nuts and bonkers. And a big reward for a healthy stimulus. See a pretty girl, see a pretty guy, whoever, you get a stimulus. Like, oh, they're pretty. Attraction, reward, good communication, good fit, date. They move in together. Marriage, partnership, lovers. Social dating, pictures, descriptions, messages sent, blue light on a screen, adding more stimulation. Pretty girl now is 100 times more pretty girl. Sexy guy now is way more buff. And the people in charge of these systems and processes understand the limits of consciousness and stretch them so far out they call themselves the alphabet. Google, Apple, Facebook, Instagram. And their economics. And they're the social groups over in the part of Seattle where I live on Capitol Hill where they just don't worry about pandemics and coronavirus. They're all together. And their confidence has been stretched to the limits, similar to the consciousness in the dating. And when that limit of that confidence gets impeded, they just go away home, stay in their $2,000 apartment, and go sleep with their wife they met on the internet, or their girlfriend they met through a friend on Facebook who's friends with another friend on Twitter. Sleep. And then they walk up to two people talking. One of them's me and one of them's another man who is most likely a veteran from war. And just stand next to the person who's most likely a veteran from war and stares at a person like me. Head all up, skinny, wearing a black dirtied shirt, long hair, white skin. And they look at me like I'm a racist. They look at me like they describe me on the internet. How they describe me with their social restrictions. And don't allow freedom of conversation and communication. They don't allow spontaneous social activity. Their speed is stretching the limits. And their energy is going so fast that their bodies are at the mercy of their brain and their mind, but visually identifiable as having a problem.